From poverty to stardom, Jim Carrey's unbelievable rise. Imagine growing up poor, with barely enough food on the table and no clear path to a better life. This was the harsh reality Jim Carrey faced as a child. His family struggled to make ends meet, often relying on government assistance to get by. But despite these challenges, Jim's imagination became his escape, a way to temporarily forget about the struggles of his everyday life. As a young boy, Jim would often watch classic comedians like Charlie Chaplin and Bob Hope, mesmerized by their ability to make people laugh. He'd try to imitate their facial expressions and mannerisms, honing his skills in front of the mirror. Little did he know, this early fascination with comedy would eventually become the key to his success. In high school, Jim began to develop his acting skills, performing in school plays and drama productions. He was a natural, effortlessly commanding the stage with his charisma and energy. But despite his growing talent, Jim struggled to find his place in the world. He knew he wanted to be a comedian, but the odds were stacked against him. There were no clear opportunities, no safety net to fall back on. Undeterred, Jim packed his bags and headed to Los Angeles, determined to make it big in the entertainment industry. For months, he struggled to find work, taking on odd jobs and waiting tables just to make ends meet. But he refused to give up, convinced that his big break was just around the corner. And then, it happened. Jim landed a spot on the sketch comedy show In Living Color. The show was a game-changer, catapulting Jim to stardom and cementing his status as a rising star. But little did he know, this was just the beginning of his journey. The show's creator, Keenen Ivory Wayans, had a reputation for pushing his cast members to their limits, often taking risks that left them on the edge of sanity. Jim's time on In Living Color was a wild ride, full of ups and downs that tested his resolve and pushed him to his limits. He faced rejection, criticism, and even ridicule, but he refused to give up. And then, something unexpected happened. Jim's big break arrived in the form of a starring role in the movie Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. The film was a massive hit, catapulting Jim to international stardom and cementing his status as a Hollywood A-lister. But with fame came new challenges. Jim faced intense scrutiny, with the media and the public eager to dissect every move he made. He struggled to balance his personal life with the demands of his career, often feeling overwhelmed by the pressure. And yet, despite these challenges, Jim remained focused on his goals, determined to make the most of his opportunities. As we look back on Jim's incredible journey, it's clear that his success was far from easy. He faced rejection, criticism, and even poverty, but he refused to give up. What kept him going when things seemed impossible? Was it his determination, his passion for comedy, or something more? We'll explore this question in greater detail as we continue Jim's story. Jim's journey to stardom was far from easy. He faced rejection, criticism, and even poverty, but he refused to give up. What kept him going when things seemed impossible? We'll find out as we continue Jim's story, a story that's full of laughter, tears, and inspiration. In the next section, we'll explore the highs and lows of Jim's career, from his early days as a struggling actor to his rise to international stardom. We'll examine the key moments that shape his success, and the lessons he learned along the way. Join us as we continue Jim's incredible story, a story that's full of humor, heart, and inspiration. After the explosive success of In Living Color, Jim Carrey's big-screen career stalled. He faced rejection after rejection, leaving him feeling lost and uncertain about his future. It was a dark period, one that tested his resolve and forced him to confront the harsh realities of the entertainment industry. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, Jim's self-doubt began to creep in. He questioned his talent, his worth, and his very purpose. The once confident actor, who had been so sure of himself just a year before, now felt like a failure. He began to wonder if he had been foolish to think he could make it in Hollywood. But it was during this dark period that Jim discovered the power of affirmations and visualization. He had stumbled upon a self-help book, one that promised to unlock the secrets of the human mind. Intrigued, Jim devoured the book, devouring every word, every sentence, and every example. He was particularly drawn to the idea of affirmations, the practice of repeating positive statements to oneself in order to rewire the brain. At first, it seemed like a ridiculous idea. Jim would sit in front of the mirror, repeating phrases like "I am worthy" and "I am talented" over and over again. But as he continued to practice, he began to notice something remarkable. His thoughts were changing. His mindset was shifting. He was no longer consumed by self-doubt and fear. Jim's newfound confidence was like a switch had been flipped. He felt a sense of clarity and purpose that he had never experienced before. He was no longer lost, no longer uncertain about his future. He knew exactly what he wanted, and he was determined to achieve it. Though he continued to face setbacks, Jim's newfound confidence helped him stay focused on his goals. He landed small roles here and there, but it was his breakout performance in Ace Ventura that truly launched his career. The film was a massive hit, and Jim's comedic talent was finally recognized by the industry. As he looked back on those dark years, Jim realized that they had been a blessing in disguise. It was during that period of struggle and self-doubt that he discovered the power of affirmations and visualization. It was a secret that he would carry with him for the rest of his life, one that would help him navigate the ups and downs of the entertainment industry. Jim's transformation from a struggling actor to a Hollywood star was nothing short of miraculous. What secrets did he uncover to turn his life around? Was it the power of affirmations, the importance of staying focused, or something else entirely? The answer, much like Jim's story, is complex and multifaceted. But one thing is certain: Jim Carrey's journey is an inspiration to us all, a reminder that no matter how dark things may seem, there is always hope for a brighter future. Jim Carrey's early life was a far cry from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood's red carpet. Born into a poor family in Ontario, Canada, Jim's childhood was marked by struggle and uncertainty. His parents, Percy and Patricia Carrey, worked multiple jobs just to make ends meet, often leaving young Jim to fend for himself. But despite the adversity, Jim's innate creativity and determination shone through. As a child, he would often escape into his imagination, drawing and acting out stories with his siblings. This passion for performance would eventually lead Jim to pursue a career in comedy, but it wasn't an easy path. He faced rejection after rejection, with many mocking his awkward appearance and nasally voice. The pain of those early setbacks still lingered, and for years, Jim struggled with self-doubt and fear of failure. He questioned whether he was truly cut out for the entertainment industry. What if I'm not funny? He'd often ask himself. What if I'm just a joke? The fear of being laughed at was a constant companion, one that Jim couldn't shake. But it wasn't until Jim met his mentor, Rodney Dangerfield, that he began to see a different path forward. Dangerfield, a seasoned comedian with a no-nonsense attitude, took Jim under his wing and taught him the art of comedy. Under Dangerfield's guidance, Jim began to develop his unique style, combining slapstick humor with a sharp wit. The breakthrough moment came when Jim landed a spot on In Living Color, a popular sketch comedy show. Suddenly, Jim's career was taking off, and he was rubbing shoulders with the likes of Will Smith and Jamie Foxx. But even as he basked in the glory of success, Jim knew he still had a long way to go. He was determined to take his craft to the next level, to push the boundaries of what was possible. And that's exactly what he did, cementing his status as one of Hollywood's most beloved and enduring stars.